Good evening. So tonight is a full moon. I, on a monthly basis, use a full moon as a time to think upon the last month, think upon some of the positives that happened, some of the practices that worked for me, and also reflect on some of the thoughts, behaviors, patterns, and practices that perhaps didn't work for me. So on this full moon, I generally will create a little bit of a day for myself. So I wake up in the morning, I meditate, I go lie on my swing, which you'll see in one of my videos, at the bottom of my garden, and I make sure that I'm grounding and touching the earth. And I sit in the evening before the moon comes up, and I reflect and journal what has happened in the last month. So it's a nice little timeline for me to think about what's happened in the last month and what I would like to happen moving forward. So are there any particular thoughts or behaviors that I displayed in the last month that maybe didn't work for me? And are there practices that maybe did work for me? So perhaps in the last month, grounding has been something that's really worked for me. And it's something that I've said definitely works for me and I will be doing moving forward. And so often we get so caught up with life that we don't really get time to sit down and reflect upon what is actually happening. What is working for us, what isn't working for us, and how we'd like to proceed in the month moving forward. On the 31st of the month, generally it's payday and it's bills coming in and it's all of your debit orders going the next day, and there's just so much going on in our minds that we don't necessarily get to reflect on what's really happening with us. So I use this as a time to really sit and think and go, okay, how are we going to move forward for this remaining month? And it doesn't have to be on a full moon. It can be on any day of the month that you set aside, let's say the 3rd of every month or the 30th of every month. And you sit and think about what's going on in your life, in your, what you're digesting, in your peripheral, what you would like to digest more of, what you would like to keep on the peripherals a little bit more of. And that way we can really consciously think about and sort through information that's coming in, information that we are allowing ourselves to digest, and information that we'd like to keep on the peripherals. So this is not necessarily an easy thing to do. You can't just go, my boss is a douchebag and I don't like him or her, and I'm going to put them on the peripherals. It's not as simple as that, but it's a conscious choice of whether you're going to let it come in and affect you or whether you are going to keep it on your periphery. And it's still a practice that I work on every day, and it's by no way something that I've perfected. But at least if you're making that conscious choice, you're going to have progress. So in the evenings on a full moon, I cook myself a beautiful dinner. I sit with my journal and I write everything down in terms of what happened in the month, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. And in my journaling, I can go back on months and go, okay, this seems to be a trend that I'm not necessarily shaking, or there seems to be a trend that I'm getting on top of, and I can sit and congratulate myself to go, you know, over the last 3 full moons or whatever your anniversary is in your month that you will choose as self-reflection, I can see that I'm progressing here. I can see that I'm regressing here. And it's just a nice time for you to just check in with yourself. So I cook myself a beautiful dinner every full moon. I light a whole bunch of beautiful candles. I have some lights on at the moment. Generally, I will keep lights off and keep most things by candlelight so that I'm not exposed to a huge amount of artificial light. And when it comes to the evening time, I've finished journaling, I've eaten a beautiful meal, and I will light some sage, which it can be light a candle, light some incense, spray your favorite deodorant, spray your favorite perfume, whatever it is that makes you feel good. And I just walk around my house, and particularly with sage, I walk into spaces where people have come in and out, and energies have come in and out, and my thought patterns in particular have come in and out. So have I had a particular down day where I've felt really horrible and I've hung out in this space? And with my sage, I walk around and I think about the down day that I had, and was it valid? Was it just me sitting feeling sorry for myself? And is that a behavior I'd like to reflect upon and change? And I just move through my house with said sage, whatever it is that you want to do. And I think it helps me reminisce on what has happened in the last month, because sometimes when you're journaling, things don't come up. And as you're walking through the house, you kind of think about all the things that have happened in that month, and you are welcome to go back to your journal and write those down. So I burn some sage and I walk around my house and I clear energies, my own particular energies that I have held in the space. And I kind of take those things that perhaps I've ingested and didn't want to, and I remove them and I start to put them on the peripherals. So, for example, in the last month, I had a situation where a particular work thing came up and there was a huge amount of self-doubt. So there was a lot of me tiptoeing into this situation and not necessarily going for it like I normally would, and questioning myself, second guessing myself. And as I've walked through the house, I've gone, okay, I understand where I was at that time, and some of the feelings were absolutely valid. Some of the feelings were not necessarily valid, and I could do something about them versus I could not do something about them. Because sitting in that feedback mechanism where we're on the hamster wheel of self-doubt and not being able to do anything about it is basically like sitting on a rocking chair chewing bubblegum, hoping that that will solve a problem. So only things that we have control over, and only things that we actively can make a change with, are things that we can focus on moving into the next month, lunar cycle, whatever it is that is your month to reflect on yourself, your behaviors, your patterns. So I am going to get my sage and I'm going to walk around the house, and soon after that I'm going to jump into a beautiful warm bath that I'm going to fill with Epsom salts, and I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my evening. I'll go out onto my deck. I have a blow-up mattress. It's a camping mattress, but I'm going to put it on my deck. I'm going to get a beautiful warm blanket, and I'm going to get some beautiful pillows, and I'm going to lie on my deck and watch the stars and the moon for the remainder of the evening, and then get a nice early evening so that I get my 9 to 10 hours sleep that I aim for every night, and wake up fresh tomorrow morning with a new energy and a zest to take into my month ahead. I hope you enjoy, and maybe this is a practice you would like to adopt. Certainly, I feel like firstly journaling, and secondly checking in with yourself and going, okay, this didn't work for me, this didn't work for me, this is what I can control, this is what I can change, and this is how I'm going to move forward into the next month. I think ideally, if we were to check in with ourselves on a daily, weekly basis, that would be fantastic, but life gets in the way and there's a lot going on. So if you just commit to one day for yourself to check in with yourself, I think from a Headspace perspective, you can really start to knuckle down on things that are and aren't working for you. So I hope you enjoy this practice, and hopefully it's something that helps you. Please like and subscribe, and if it's something that does work for you, please comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful full moon.